So when you go into Spider-Man Homecoming, I think you pretty much know what to expect. If you've seen the trailers, you've seen a little too much of the movie already, but it's Marvel, you've seen it. If you have seen any Marvel movie since 2012, you know exactly what you're getting into. Marvel has this kind of very snappy, very funny, very charismatic filmmaking style that is very quick, it's very fast-paced, and their movies generally don't bore. It's what they're good at, it's what caught people's attention in the first place, but it's also become the staple, for better or worse, of every single Marvel movie. So if you like that, you like that. Me personally, I liked it at first, but this being the 16th one, it's kind of getting old for me at this point. The Tom Holland, I think, was a good Spider-Man. I was a little worried when he came in Civil War, but when he has the focus of the show, I think he does fine. He's a very good actor, and all the British Spider-Man actors are doing American accents pretty much flawlessly, so good for them. And while I say Tom Holland is a good Spider-Man, I do prefer Andrew Garfield. I think Andrew Garfield is my favorite, but Tom Holland's fine. And Spider-Man at this point has become like James Bond, where there's been so many of them over such a short period of time that really I'm no longer attached to any one Spider-Man. I'm no longer like, this guy is Spider-Man, and if you cast somebody else, I'm gonna be like, no, I don't buy it. Like if in the next Avengers, Johnny Depp was Iron Man, I'd be like, what are you doing? That's weird, I don't like that. No actor has done Spider-Man well enough and long enough to the point where I'm like, Hugh Jackman Wolverine, the only one ever. The only problem with the movie is like Tom Holland's supposed to be 15 in high school. It's like, this guy looks like he's in college. He looks 22, 23. 15 my ass. I like all his little friends too. I like Liz being black. I really don't give a shit about it. As long as she's pretty. They managed to get a black or Polynesian or South American. Somebody's gonna tell me she's not actually black and that I'm a racist. And y'all look the same to me. If you're not white, I can't really tell. I'm sorry. I don't see color. Now, that's how I know I'm not racist, because she isn't white and I still think she's pretty. How about that? Take that. And I liked his really apathetic Michelle kind of friend, not friend. Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man, and he's in this movie. There's not much else to be said on that regard. To be honest, it almost seemed like he was, I don't want to say phoning it in, but he's not all in like he was with Civil War. Like, in the movie, he's clearly like, plot-wise, he's preoccupied with other things, and Spider-Man is like the afterthought. I don't know, he just wasn't as focused and intense as he was in Civil War. He's just, oh, he's back to Iron Man, snipping, quipping left and right. There's a pretty good scene with him at the ferry, but they showed it in the trailer. And there's also something that if they didn't know what I knew in the trailer already, would have been a lot cooler, because there's like a little mini reveal, and it's like, well, I already knew that because it's in the damn trailer. Freaking Spider-Man movies in their trailers, man. Michael Keaton, I would say, is decent. I liked him at first. I liked him okay. I think he is intimidating. He's way better than he looked like he was going to be. He looked like he was going to be another shitty, whoever the Yellow Jacket was the bad guy from Ant-Man. I think that's like the epitome of terrible Marvel villain. He works for the movie. He's a decent villain. But I think the best character of the whole movie is Karen. Spider-Man's suit has this like hot, sexy voice AI inside of it, and he names her Karen, and she's fantastic. Every time she says something, it was very, very funny. There's a couple dumb things in the movie logic-wise, where Ned and Peter Parker are just talking out in the open in school about Spider-Man stuff and Vulture stuff, and he's walking around with a freaking glowing purple bomb rock. And he doesn't even bother to change his voice when he's saving people, and he literally calls out people's names who Spider-Man shouldn't know when he's in a Spider-Man costume, and then only then remembers to, oh yeah, change his voice to like a Brooklyn accent. And there's a pretty dumb confrontation with Michael Keaton at the end where he's sitting at a table and Spider-Man's got him, and they have like this talk, and it's like, hey, why don't you web him to the table? Okay, why don't you web both his hands to the table? You're webbed in place. I'm gonna call the police. Okay, bye! Now, the problem with Spider-Man Homecoming, and the problem with most Marvel movies, barring a few exceptions, is that I really didn't feel anything while watching this. There was no, like, super awesome moment where I'm shivering like, that was cool. No swell of music while somebody kills 12 people or something. Nothing like Captain America holding the helicopter and keeping it from leaving. Nothing like the part where they're all bwam, 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 bwam. Nothing like the Captain America and Iron Man, the shield thing, you know? There's nothing really like that. It's just a decent movie. I feel like when people judge a movie in their minds, they judge it based on how much bad stuff is in it, and they just completely ignore the good. Take Amazing Spider-Man 2, for instance, which has a much, much better soundtrack. Every track in that movie is memorable because Hans Zimmer is the one behind it. This is really phoned in, sounds like the 19th Spider-Man theme I've heard. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 has a lot of big issues for sure. It's like, Why did you do this? Why are you rushing all these storylines together? Why doesn't Spider-Man just give him his blood? What's the big deal? Why is Jamie Foxx being such a weirdo? Why did you cast Paul Giamatti as the Ronnie? There's a lot of dumb shit in that movie, for sure. Everybody can admit that. But I think the highs in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, the music, the relationship between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, that whole ending thing at the power grid and the clock tower is great. The fight between Electro and Spider-Man at the end, I think, is really cool. I enjoyed watching those scenes more than I enjoyed any scene in Spider-Man Homecoming. Spider-Man Homecoming did not make me cringe at all. Spider-Man Homecoming didn't make me go, oh, that's dumb, that's stupid, like Amazing Spider-Man 2 did. You know, it's a cleaner movie. You know, there's less bad in it, but there's less good in it, too. That's the problem with these Marvel movies. There's so many of them at this point that they keep using the same style and the same feel. It feels like, you know, a Marvel movie. That it's become like a TV series. This did not feel like, oh, the new Spider-Man movie, I'm excited to see Spider-Man. It felt like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, episode 16. This feels like a stepping stone. Nothing of stake or big happens in this movie. This feels like what we have to get to the next one. It feels like it's all building to something. And I don't really care about Spider-Man Homecoming. I don't really care about Thor Ragnarok. What I care about is Infinity War. I want to see Infinity War. That's what I'm excited for. And every movie that comes out before Infinity War has that issue of it's not the ultimate goal and its ulterior purpose is to build to Infinity War. So by the time Infinity War happens, the rest of these are going to be useless. Barring a few exceptions, like Civil War and Volume 2, I think are both really good. That's not to detriment the movie. That's not to say it's not a good movie. It's not to say I didn't enjoy watching it. It's just to say that I'm very unimpressed. I got exactly what I expected, and this movie took no risks whatsoever. Spider-Man Homecoming was a decent movie that I enjoyed for 2 hours, that entertained me, that I'd come out saying, I liked that was fun, and that I will never, ever, ever watch again. I'm giving Spider-Man Homecoming a 7 out of 10. To be honest, I'm really sad we didn't get an Amazing Spider-Man 3. I see the ending of Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I'm like, yeah, some of that was dumb for sure. Studio interference definitely hurt the movie, but there's a lot of good in there too. There really is, okay? The people 1 out of 10ing Amazing Spider-Man 2 are really definitely bandwagoning.